Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my friend Nate Allen. How's it going, buddy?
Pretty good.
Good.
Glad to be here.
Yes. I am too. I know we're not together, but we can pretend. It's good
Yeah,
to see you
I
again.
feel like we're closer now than we have been in a while. So
Yeah, it's true.
your face is just a few feet from mine. So
Yeah. So what have you been up to lately, man?
oh man, I'm really busy. Uh, the mix between uh, taking care of kids, doing regular work, and music is it's just got me filling every available minute right now to kind of keep my head above water.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I could take up that last minute that you had.
I was glad to talk.
Yeah,
I was
good.
looking forward to it. So.
Cool, man. Yeah. I well, I mean, it's good that you're busy. I've found ways to keep myself busy, like doing this sort of thing. Not
Yeah.
working, but working at this. So that's
I
that's
mean, we have two kids, so I mean, there's really no like free time.
right.
Everybody that's talking about trying to stay busy during this whole lockdown thing is like
Doesn't have
doesn't
kids.
have little kids that are running around, wanting to
Yeah.
play or wreak havoc or go on adventures all every waking minute. So it's uh it's quite a bit to juggle.
How old are they?
I've got a 3.5-year-old and a 4-month old. So
Yeah.
I think
Wow.
they're in peak needing their parents' age.
Yeah.
We're so that's where we're at.
Well, congratulations, man. I mean, I know it's a lot of work right now, but that's awesome.
I mean, you wouldn't. I think anybody that has kids wouldn't trade it at all. But it's
Yeah.
definitely like a consuming force that kind of like changes everything. So.
Yeah. I imagine so. So as far as playing music goes, are you doing streaming stuff?
I haven't done any streaming. I've had computer problems that have kept me from streaming. Um, so instead, I've just been working on finishing up video projects that
Cool.
uh, I could kind of get out into the world.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm part of the overall maybe collective creativity, but not streaming. Which
Yeah.
is, hopefully, I get to do that soon.
Yeah. It's fun, and I've done it just a little bit, but mostly just working on this video project. So
Yeah.
touching base again with reconnecting with so many friends from the music world so far. I hope to do more broadly with art and artists and comedians and things too. But for now, this is what I know, so that's what I'm going with.
Totally. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm just like I'll keep writing songs and I'll put some videos out that were already in the works or in my
Yeah.
mind. So that's kind of the deal.
Yeah. It's really nice to be creative again for me after I worked at a tire shop for a little over a year. And
Okay.
there's not much room for creativity when you're working on cars.
I
That's not
spent
a good idea.
like 3 weeks at a tire shop in Roseburg, and I had categorically my worst boss ever. He was verbally abusing me the whole time, like,
Yeah.
and I actually went and got another job because I hated it so much. And the day that I went in to quit, they fired me. And I was like, well, you're going to fire me, so I'm going to tell you how bad it's been and
Yeah.
why I went and got another job. And I unloaded on the guy and then walked
Good.
home, and I felt so good.
Good.
It's the best firing of my life.
Yeah. You've been fired a lot?
I don't not that many times. I've gone through a bunch of jobs though.
Yeah.
I finally learned that you can quit when the job's just really bad. So
Yeah, it's a
I got
good
better at
idea.
that the last couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah, job you don't want to be miserable in your work,
No,
you know,
I
if you can help it.
yeah. I mean, not. I'm fortunate. We are self-employed, so I mean, we kind of get to make most of our own pace right now. But yeah, when I was
Keeping busy
trying
with
to,
it?
yeah, we
Yeah.
are. I mean, it's a weird. We do taxes, and it's super weird right now.
Yeah.
Government's always changing the law, and what was our like busy season, which would have ended a month ago, is now dragged out to July.
Yeah.
Everything's just strange.
Yeah. It's weird times
Yeah,
all the way around.
but we
That's for
definitely
sure.
have enough. We have enough work. We just are. It's just in a very weird space.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you have the work. That's for sure.
Yeah, we're very thankful.
Yeah.
Um,
So, my idea with this is kind of like, since we can't travel, maybe we'll reminisce a bit. So
Totally.
where is your favorite place that you have played? Do you have one, or maybe a top couple that you can think
Uh,
of? Maybe shows that stand out in your mind, or
I thought of Michigan. We've had some
yeah,
really fun times there.
yeah,
We learned that you have to play during the school year in most of those towns. The summers aren't a good idea for us.
yeah,
Um, and let's see, I feel like we've been everywhere enough that we've had a really good show there and then a really bad show there and then another good one.
yeah,
So I don't really have like
yeah.
super favorites.
I know it's hard. It's hard to pinpoint because, like, you and me, we've traveled a lot and done a lot of shows, so
Yeah.
it kind of gets lost in the mix. But I like to ask just in case something pops out.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, when a house show or a show just goes completely nuts, it's really memorable. So we've had, I mean, a bunch of those. Like
Yeah,
I thought I was going to die a few times during shows. So, I mean, those are
yeah,
my
me too.
favorites. Um,
Yeah.
so looking back, they're the best memories when I think I'm like, oh, this is where it ends.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just talking to somebody else about that, playing a house party in Minnesota, and it was a really old, like 100-year-old house, and it was where a whole bunch of people lived, kind of like almost a commune. And
Yeah.
in the living room, like it would have been like the dining room originally, I guess, and it was all wood floors, and there was like 200 kids in there, and the
Yeah.
floors had that much give to it about, and I thought, this is it. We're going to
So
the basement.
we had that same moment in Idaho where the floor started kicking me up, like bouncing me off the floor, and I stopped it, and later found out that the floor joist actually cracked
Yeah.
underneath us. So they had to replace them without the landlord knowing. Uh, but we were so close to going through. I was
Whoa.
like, wow, that would have been insane.
Yeah,
Um,
there was
Super
another
tragic.
there. Yeah, there was like a Day of the Dead party that we were doing in Bend, and it was in an old upstairs room in one of those old buildings downtown, and the
Yeah.
same thing happened. And I was like, and they were like, what if it's like the Roseland where the floor is built to do that? And I was like, no, it's not. It's
Yeah.
not.
No, you don't really think about that when you get into rock and roll, that you might be testing the limits of floors.
Yeah, and walls and
Yeah. No, so I think those are like the memories that stand out. The ones where it's either a really really great show or a really bad show. The ones in between kind of just get filtered out.
yeah, if you get used to good shows happening and they're just good, then then it just gets lost in the mix. But yeah, the really bad ones, the ones where the cops stop it or
Yeah.
something really bad happens, that sticks out. And that was my next question for you. If you have any that are like, you got chased out of town, or
I haven't been chased out of town. I've been shut down. I think it's 3 or 4 times mid song in the middle of a set and kicked off a stage, and
dang.
that that just stings and keeps me up at night. And I mean, I never forget that.
Yeah,
And
because it's like you don't get to finish your story.
no, I mean, it's one of my biggest fears is a fear of rejection,
Yeah.
and so like that just plays at the like heart of that. There's like a giant stab
Yeah.
of this is just we're all playing for connection. At least a lot of us are, and when
Yeah.
when that's completely like rejected. I mean, a bad audience is one thing. Getting kicked off a stage is a totally different deal.
Absolutely. Yeah. Having the show completely shut down and having your artistic creativity stifled mid performance is
I feel like
worse.
that's like I feel like that's a whole nother level besides the cops showing up. Like when somebody just stops.
Yeah. I think so too. We've definitely had an instance of that before, and the way that we usually deal with it was like go play on the street or
Yeah,
something.
it's I've definitely done that. I think that actually kind of inspired one of the times I got shut down was playing on the street before the show. So
Yeah. Yeah, that can happen too. Getting Yeah, playing on the street. I just think of the time that like Dal and Jesse went to jail because of that, playing on the street. Did I ever tell you about that?
nah, what's the story with that?
We were in Newport Beach, and it's very, very not friendly to street performers. We didn't know that, and if most of the laws, I don't know if you're familiar with it. Most of the laws regarding busking has to do with amplification and electrifying your equipment. If it's not electric, then you're
Yeah.
okay. But we had a megaphone, so technically
Nice.
amplified, right? So I was singing into it. The cop came up, told us to stop, and I was like, still going. I was like, but this is our finale. This is Beggars Will Ride. Everybody wants to hear this one. Nobody knew who we were or anything. And it was before good cameras and cell phones, so nobody had a good video of what happened next. But he came
Yeah.
up, and I said, no, we're not stopping. This is the last song anyway, And he came up and shut off my megaphone. I turned it back on. I got done thinking, okay, we won. And then he turns around and grabbed me and was like, give me your ID. And I was like, am I under arrest? And so on and so forth. It's all my fault, but I made it worse. And the cops came in force and grabbed. Dal walked up to him and he tripped over the curb, and they took that as he was attacking them. So
Oh
they took
no.
him down and they beat him up in the street in front of that little group of people that were watching. Ground his face into the asphalt and sat on his back and pounded him
Oh my
in the
gosh.
side of the head and in the ribs. And Jesse and I were thrown in the cop car. And then Officer Rocker, the guy that that told us to stop, that's his name, his actual name. He came up and said, like, if you give me your ID, I'll let you go because you're the leader of the band, or whatever shit show this is. And then these two guys are going to jail. There's nothing you can
Wow.
do about it. They are going to jail. But you can save yourself and go pick them up in the morning if you give me your ID. And I was like, okay, just take it. And
Man.
then they spent the night in jail, and eventually all the charges disappeared. But it was
Well, I guess that's kind of a happy ending.
yeah. After a couple months, we
Oh
went back
man.
down there, and we went to the courthouse, and they were like, what are you talking about? There's no record of this. And we were like, what?
That's this is all for nothing. This didn't happen.
The only proof they had was a bill for the night spent in the jail, which was
Wow.
like $130. So like a really nice
Wow.
hotel room.
That's so much better than it could have been.
Yeah. Yeah. It could have ended a lot worse.
So wild.
Poor Dal's face.
Oh
He's
man.
all, he caught a lot of that sort of thing. Poor guy. But yeah, travel.
A lot of it.
Not doing any of that.
Not right now.
Soon.
Yeah. I was we were already fortunately not in a tour season, so we didn't really have too much get hijacked. But
yeah, I was gonna ask you about that too.
Yeah, we were. I mean, we with the new baby and our busy season at work, we were already kind of like, we don't tend to travel February through May anyway. Mm-hmm. So, it's obviously affected things after that. So,
yeah,
sure I'll start missing being on the road, but right now I'm just trying to keep my head above water.
Yeah, I feel that. Do you have, speaking of traveling, do you have how many tour vans or vehicles have you went through in your life?
Man, I can count. Probably, I'd say 7 or 8.
Sounds about right.
Probably about what I've gone through. I was going through, felt like every tour we switched out vehicles for a while. I've left a few of them on the side of the road. There's one buried in Wisconsin somewhere.
Buried?
Yeah, let's see, it died in the side of the road, in a McDonald's parking lot. Just we actually had we had to figure out how to get from Madison, Wisconsin to our weekend of shows, and so we borrowed money from our friends' parents to rent a car to drive to Minneapolis, to drive to Omaha, to drive back to Madison. We made enough in the weekend of shows to pay for the cheapest thing we could find on Craigslist. And we bought like some minivan at 8 o'clock at night off Craigslist. The only person that would call us back. This is like pre like good cell phones, so it's
Yeah.
like reading a text file and seeing if it's good. And bought the van and had paid our friend's parents back by like letting the tow truck driver like pay them instead of us. And then we started driving again, and it was just like this whirlwind of. I think we drove like 90 miles an hour from Madison to Minneapolis, in through the snow to get to our show and show up at like 11 o'clock in Flex. So that van died. It was great. It had an extended top roof. We felt really like classy.
You could stand up.
We got a whole 4 months out of it before we
Yeah.
let it go down.
Not
Not quite
for
in
a
flames,
Craigslist.
but we were leaving 100 feet of black smoke behind us for a few days before it died. So.
Yeah, I've been there.
So yeah, I've gone through some vehicles.
Did you have a name for that one?
I've never
Too
named
short.
them. It helps them die easier.
Yeah. You don't cry as hard when they die.
Yeah.
If they're not named, they're just anonymous vans.
Yeah. I think my favorite, the one that I'm most sentimental about was the first one I had was a like 1970s green Ford Econoline. Not that different from the color I'm sitting in front of it all, actually.
Yeah.
And that was the vehicle that I did my first tour in. And it was like 6 months of me alone in that van on the road. And Tessa and I started dating in that van. It was just like all the sentimental, symbolism.
Yeah.
And we actually drove away from our wedding in that, but the door had already started falling off. So our door was tied on with parachute cord and like bungee cables as we drove away from the wedding. And I eventually had to take that to a junkyard and trade it for like basically a cell phone bill. It was just like, you got all these memories, but I can't afford to put the door back on.
Right. It's more expensive than it's more expensive than the vehicle is worth anymore at that point. We had that happen in a parking lot in Canada somewhere at a grocery store somewhere out there in the prairie, and the sliding door just fell off.
Yeah.
Like like luckily it didn't land on anybody's feet.
Yeah, those are heavy. I mean, like the doors of those are just they're no joke. So
they're a monster. And then so we did kind of the same thing. We eventually put a padlock on the back side of it so we could, because that part broke.
Nice.
Or it bent so badly that we cut it off with a hacksaw and then put a padlock on the outside of the back of the slider so that we could keep everybody in when we're driving, and then the driver or the passenger would unlock it. Totally sketchy as fuck.
Oh, I mean, on that van, I think the sketchiest thing I ever did, which is in hindsight so stupid, I lost my gas cap and I didn't think about the implications of putting a rag in my gas cap to keep the gas from pulling out. So I actually drove through Colorado. I definitely remember doing this. Probably the first time with a Molotov cocktail, like just all somebody had to do is light it and I was gone.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what I was doing. When somebody saw me and commented, I immediately changed that.
Yeah, that's good. You can find another gas cap somewhere.
Yeah, I went and found something. So.
Something better than
Fortunately,
that.
nobody hated me at that point, so
yeah,
I got lucky.
That's good. Yeah, man. There's so many. We drove away from the gas station with the nozzle still in a couple of times.
Yeah, I've never done that, but I've come close, I'm sure.
Yeah, it can happen. Your mind is in so many different places when you're on the road.
Totally. Yeah.
You're like, we're gonna be late.
Oh, bye. Now I got to go back.
Yeah. Now we're gonna be really late. Yeah, we did. We got chased out of town once.
Nice. Where was that?
In like Virginia, I think. Maybe West Virginia. It's somewhere around there, and we were exhausted, and we were in that old school bus, and we parked it at a church because that was my suggestion. I was like, they're gonna have heart, like really exhausted people just sleeping for a few hours in the parking lot's not going to be a big deal. We woke up to the groundskeeper, and it was a big deal. And he's
Oh
like,
man.
y'all need to get the hell out of here. And we're like, sorry. And my brother is all sleepy, and he pops up to the window and he's like, we are but weary travelers, man. And the guy goes, you get out of here now. And we're like, okay. He's like, right now. And he just stood there and waited. And we're like, okay, all right, let's go. And we got in, and he followed us out of town all the
Oh
way until
man.
we got to the next town. And then he turned around. Just wanted to make sure that the riffraff from Oregon, dirty
Wow.
hippies, are not staying at the church.
That's so weird.
Yeah, really weird. And I was like, don't argue, man. We just got to get out of here.
Yeah. Somebody's just got to leave.
Yeah, it's better. I found that out the hard way. Sending people.
A groundskeeper, you never know, man. He might have called the cops, and then it would have been a whole other mess.
Yeah,
Virginia.
he probably was. He probably already did at that point.
Totally not the same level, but we were driving around a nice neighborhood in Kansas City, and we realized that an old dude was following us on his scooter and trying to like chase us out of the neighborhood. And he was like on his Vespa, like totally tailing us. And then like we're like, well, okay, I guess we should leave. This is getting kind of awkward.
Yeah.
And we went to our gym, and he pulled in behind us, and I think he was like, okay, this is weird. We're not going to work out tonight. We're just leaving. And it was like that totally was arbitrary. We were just driving through, like, glancing at nice lights and stuff, and must have thought we were trying to rob the place, and he was very afraid.
Yeah. They don't approve of our type in those fancy places, man. But for so many years I was like, well, what the hell is the problem with these people? Like, we're not doing anything wrong. We're not drug dealers or criminals, not really. And then I think back, and it's like, well, the van was covered in stickers.
Yeah.
It had like spray paint. The door was falling off. It had a padlock on the back of the door. We're just blasting music and being young and crazy. And you feel like you're so wronged at that age. You're like,
yeah,
everybody's against me. And then in retrospect, yeah, we kind of asked for it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like just driving an old van got me enough of a like running into trouble. It was like, I mean, I think you were talking about like that made me think I was in Annapolis, Maryland. I was trying to find where I was staying, and I pulled into what had to be the bad part of town. Which, I mean, I'd just been living in San Francisco, so I'm like used to like tough kind of gnarly neighborhoods, and I was like, yeah, nothing's bad here. And a guy walked in front of my van, and I had to like pull around him, and another guy stepped in front of my van, and I was like, okay, I either have to hit him or stop. And one of the guys starts ripping on my passenger door, and then a guy comes up and he's like, man, what do you got? I'm like, I got nothing. And he's like, oh man. And he was going to rob me, and I think he just believed that I was actually not dealing drugs. And I was like, is this where I asked him if I was at the right address. He's like, man, you're in the wrong part of town. I was like, okay, I actually thank you, bye.
Yes, I am, and goodbye.
Like, I thought it's one of those moments where I was like, oh, this is actually going down. Like, there's nothing good that's going to happen right now.
You're lucky.
I got real lucky.
Yeah, I think that nothing to lose and being obviously broke has paid off for us. A lot of times when we could have got robbed. It was when we like really did have a lot to lose, and our van was looking really good and the trailer looked really good. That's when it got jacked.
Yeah.
Everything got stolen.
Yeah, it totally plays. It's safer, I think, to not look like you have anything to lose.
Yeah, when you look a little bit edgy and scary too, that helps.
Yeah. Gosh, I remember one time on a bus in San Francisco, I was just like exhausted. I think I had the flu, and I was going to like a church gathering or something, and shouldn't have been leaving, but I was had my head on a pillow, and on the bus I was just like that tired, and some guy starts harassing a girl in front of me, and I was like, dude, quit being an asshole. He's like, what are you gonna? Why? I'm like, just stop being an asshole. Are you gonna fight me? I'm like, no, I'm not gonna fight you with my head on the pillow the whole time. And he's like, what are you gonna do about it, Clark Kent? I'm like, stop being a jerk. And he totally did. And but it was like I was just so exhausted. And I guess I just looked like he didn't want to mess with me. I had a big beard, and I just was like, um, looked intimidating enough in my like wrecked state that he actually listened. I was like, oh, this works.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been some times like that too for us where it's like we're just too deranged looking to mess with.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, back up. These guys are we don't know. We don't know what they're
Yeah.
up to.
Little unpredictable.
Yeah.
So.
They look really tired and really hungry. Please leave them alone.
I feel like that's what makes you a good performer when you're hungry, though. When people ask us, like, how do we like get to from like a normal band to a weird band, I was like, well, we were hungry a lot. We had to get people to pay attention. So
Yeah.
it works out in some weird way.
Yeah. I mean, busking, playing on the street was that way. I mean,
Yeah.
we continue to do it long after the jail thing happened.
Yeah.
we just made a new rule that when the cops show up, we stop immediately.
Yeah. You just want to, avoid trouble.
Yeah.
So,
Go to a different street.
yeah. Next town over. Hope they don't call.
Yeah. Next town over. We did that in Scotland. We were like, okay, the first time we played there, we got there and nobody really knew who we were. So the show was probably going to be pretty small, and we got there a day early, and they were going to put us up above the pub anyway. So we were like, we're just going to go downtown and play on the street. And they're like, oh no, don't do that. That's dangerous. It's scary. I think it was Edinburgh. And we were like, nah, it's not scary. You ever been to Detroit? And then we went down there and the cops walked up right away. And we were like, okay, stop. Sorry.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we just want to listen. And we're like, what? They're like, yeah, it's okay. And we were like, well, we'll make sure that people don't go in the street. And they're like, Matt, we don't care. We're just listening. Just keep playing. And we were like, okay. And we ended up getting a lot of people into the show the next day because of that,
That's funny.
And
That's
the cops
great.
were stoked. They were like young and tattooed and bearded, and they didn't give a shit. They were just party too. And we were like, that's not scary. Come on, guys. I'm sure it can be, but
yeah, I mean, I think we're fortunate. I mean, even like just that. I mean, some of the stuff that turns bad. I mean, even on the news, like being a couple like middle-aged white guys, like we can get away with a lot that they wouldn't. Other places couldn't. I mean, I was thinking about that. Like, I mean, as many times as I've been stopped by the cops, like I know there's somebody I could call that would get me out, and that's probably as bad as it's going to get.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of leeway that can be pretty interesting.
Yeah, it could be a lot worse, and it definitely made me bolder without even realizing it. I was a lot bolder than a lot of people would be. But I don't know. I thought I was right. I was young and crazy, like I said.
Yeah, no, I was
calling people out. I would tell the cops things like, don't you have any hobbies? Don't you like art or music, or don't you read? Like, can't you do something better with your time than harassing kids and putting them in jail because they drank a beer?
Yeah. Our
drummer was asleep in the van at one party. He had one beer, fell asleep because he had to work early. So he was being responsible, and he went to sleep. And they busted him, gave him a MIP.
Wow.
He was 20. And I was giving that cop so much grief. I was just like, dude, what are you doing with your life? You're pathetic.
Yeah. Don't you have anything better to do? Yeah. What you don't know just happens.
Yeah. But rambling. That's part of it. I'm really happy to see you, dude.
Yeah.
Glad to see that you're doing good and keeping busy.
Yeah. How How long have you been? You're out of work right now. Are you
Yeah,
on?
yeah. I got laid off about a month ago, I guess. Now
Okay.
time flies, sort of. But yeah, so I've just been. At first, I was just putting together a puzzle and watching news, and
Nice.
then I was like, I have got to stop watching the news and doing a puzzle. I was like, there's more. There's more to do. I started, doing stuff around the house, and then I realized that what I really wanted to do was something artistic and creative. And so I started
Yeah.
making the videos, and I started with the humor ones on Instagram. And then I was like, I can actually, with what I have, which the equipment is nothing fancy at all, but I can
Yeah.
still, yeah, I can do things. I can make a YouTube channel, and I can reconnect, most importantly, with all my friends.
Totally.
So that's what I really wanted to do, was reconnect with
Yeah.
everybody.
That
And
makes sense.
it feels really good to be creative again and to be
Yeah.
appreciated for what I have accomplished in my life.
Totally.
And at the tire shop, I didn't feel appreciated at all.
I get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah. It's like, it doesn't matter that I was in a band for 15 years and I played all over the place. They don't care.
They're
That
like,
doesn't
can
sell
you put a
tires.
tire on faster? Hurry
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Yeah. It was hard for me to sell tires because I can sell t-shirts. I can
Yeah.
sell CDs and records and things that I like. But tires, they're important, but I'm not emotionally invested in tire
Yeah.
sales.
I find that I either want to be completely emotionally uninvested or really passionate about something. Like
Yeah,
anywhere in between is like I can't pull off the sale very well at all.
exactly. Like, this one's good, that one's good. Just buy one of them. I don't care. And I would start
Yeah.
getting sassy with they're like, well, why do you sell did you even try to sell the top of the line one? And I'd be like, well, if you don't want me to sell the cheapest ones, then why stock them?
Yeah.
Like, I understand what it's like being totally broke and needing
Yeah.
tires.
Yeah.
You don't want to spend $1,000 on tires. You want to get by.
Totally. I
And I'm not the right guy for selling the big, oversized wheels and tires to the brodozers.
I buy tires for $30 up the street from my house from a guy. Like that's where I get my tires.
Yeah, amen. And they probably work great.
Yeah, they work great, and he thanks me every time.
Yep, it's the little guys. They need the money. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's trippy. I don't know what I'll do next, but I'm hoping
Yeah.
to, make this something. So I'm gonna keep
Yeah.
at it no matter what. When I go back to work at wherever I go, I'm gonna keep it going. So
Gotcha.
thanks for being part of it too.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So I wanted to touch on how you go about like writing songs,
Okay.
because I think a lot of people find that interesting, how everybody has their own process of going from a concept to a finished song.
Yeah. So last couple of years, it's kind of fallen into a consistency, I guess, um, where I have a melody, mostly words, probably a verse and a chorus that pops into my head
Mhm.
almost together, and I record that on my phone. And sometimes I get a chance to actually finish it. Most of the time, I don't.
Mhm.
But with all the different distractions, so I just write like got 1,000 vocal notes and assemble them into whatever the song is. Normally, it's like, oh, that day we had two verses and a chorus, and I like where that's going, so I'll try to spend some time with it. The melodies don't really change. The songs kind of tumble out complete that way. Um, and then I'll go back and spend time working out like the details of the song
Mhm.
and crafting out making sure the lyrics are what they want to be. I think when I first write stuff, there's just a lot of like maybe throwaway lines or whatever that are
Mhm.
in there. And to make it actually something I'm proud of, I need to go back and see it to the end. And so with the last couple releases, it's finally where I got to, I think, be a little more detailed than I had been before, and so I'm pretty happy with the craft of the songs, and getting kind of more into the fine points of it. So that's pretty much my songwriting process, and that will be from like a song that's super confessional. Will have the same approach as something where I'm writing a song about cooking with the kids in the kitchen.
Yeah.
They kind of like there's these two sides of my like creative personality. Like today, I actually released a song. This will be like not today in the ruin of the
Right.
time cycle, but released a song that's like just a rock and roll song about a guitar, and having a good time with it. And the song that led it up to it was like super emotionally vulnerable, and soul crushing, and opening up, and then like and then there's this thing about a guitar. So I think that kind of like shows the two sides of me, but they both have a similar approach where like I want to make sure it's something I'm proud of, but it comes out pretty much like probably 80% complete at the start.
Cool. So it sounds like you kind of start with a broad spectrum of ideas and composition, and then kind of whittle it down and perfect it to what
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
asking for.
yeah, it's really like I mean the chorus is. I mean, I'm kind of a chorus guy, so the choruses always almost pop out,
Mhm.
and they rarely change. Um, and then kind of that kind of it feels like the songs just kind of appear out of thin air, and I catch them, and then I
Yeah.
I go for it.
Out of the ether.
Yeah, I write mostly in my head,
Mhm.
and with paper and stuff. So like I don't actually have an instrument around me when I'm writing songs,
Oh,
um,
okay.
very often. And it's only when I'm like, oh, I need to figure out what key this is in, that I'll grab a guitar and figure out the
Cool.
4 chords that are kind of the basic.
Yeah,
And
it's so interesting having a
that's kind of how I do it. It's
different approach.
just a feels just mysterious and magical sometimes, and I like that. So
Good. Yeah. That's those are the important parts of life, the magical bits.
yeah, no,
Um,
I mean it's I mean I still do it, so I love it.
yeah, good. Where do you record?
I'm not a very good engineer, so I've been trying to have other people record with me, or
Cool.
record me.
Hmm.
My friend John Terry recorded the last batch of songs for me. It really just depends on where I'm at. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, in Kansas City, we were in a studio for the last record, and then he doesn't work there anymore. So I'm trying to figure out how to home record better. It really just jumps all over the place.
Hmm.
Um, so
Yeah, whatever.
I want to get better at being able to just get most of the process done here. It's just a lot easier for me to not have to leave the house.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine so with the little ones.
Yeah, pre Corona, I still was already planning to not leave the house that much
Yeah.
for
Me too.
having
I
to
didn't
record. So
it didn't affect us so very much in the way that we carry out our day-to-day lives.
yeah, I mean, it really didn't. It was mostly we stay home intentionally more.
Yeah.
That was the main thing. It wasn't. And grocery shopping's weird now. I always buy
Yeah.
the wrong thing because I'm kind of like freaked out a bit.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's it's claustrophobic feeling.
yeah.
It's a little weird, and people are weird, and yeah, it's odd. It
So,
I don't like it very much anymore either.
but yeah, but the home creative process. I mean, it's really self-contained. We have a house here that kind of bought with the intention of being able to create at home. So
Cool. Cool.
that's I'm actually sitting in like our spare room right now, which is like kind of I got my monitors set up and a bunch of different microphones so I can try to capture things pretty well.
Cool. That's awesome. Well, that's a good way to do it. Have it at home, and I've got my drum kit back there and
Nice.
my little memorabilia and everything, and I have a electric kit as well.
Nice.
But it's currently my clothes rack. So it's just over there.
Get that.
But yeah, this is the extent of my recording capabilities and a little Focusrite. Like it has 2 inputs and that's it.
Nice.
But
I've had the same digital board for like I don't know 15 years or something. So
yeah.
it's generally what I record on, if I'm home. And I haven't quite gotten to where I can record straight into a computer yet.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I think most of a lot of like demos or videos I just do on my phone because it's just so much easier
Yeah.
than having to push power on 3 things.
Yeah, the phones make it really easy to do this sort of thing too. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I was even with this call, I was like, oh man, maybe I should let's try to zoom on my computer. And I was like, oh no, it's gonna be so much better on my phone. Let's go with that.
Yeah. Yeah, like this is this is my computer, or it's my wife's computer. And the camera is not as good as my phone, but I don't have zoom on it, and this just it's a lot bigger, but it's
Yeah,
definitely, yeah, it's an older computer, so it's not top of the line video, but
totally.
it gets the point across. So
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing. I'm like,
yeah.
I've recorded a few covers lately, and they're like one of them I took my phone, and I sang a cappella in the shower holding my baby, and I'm like, I think it sounded actually pretty cool, but I'm like, this is the easiest way from point A to point B. Is if you want me to participate, I'm going to do something like that
Yeah.
requires zero effort beyond like the 5 minutes I've got right now.
Yeah.
So I feel
That's the
like
way it has to
that's
be.
I feel like that's a picture of my life. Like even songwriting, it's in like little tiny chunks. Like my whole workflow is not here's 6 hours. It's like you have 20 minutes, go do something, move something from A to B.
Yeah. Yeah. That's,
Kind of how I function now.
yeah. My mentality with that, it always worked so well with the DIY ethos, is because I'm, I am not a perfectionist. I like it
Yeah,
to be really good. And if it can be as close to perfect as possible
yeah,
within a reasonable time frame, that's fantastic. However, uh, if I've got the bare necessities and components to get the job done, I'm going to do it,
yeah,
and I'm going to make it look and sound good, or whatever it may be. Like, I'm not going to, what's the saying? Done is better than perfect.
yeah. Totally. I feel like that's like. I mean, it's a really good overview of. I mean, my collective works. It's a. I was just like, we could. I could be better. Like, I mean, when I look back, I'm like, oh man, I wish I would have, paid for something differently.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, well, I I got it out there, and
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't somebody lining up to help, and I figured out some stuff, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I read Woody Guthrie's book Bound for Glory early on in my process,
Cool.
and there is a whole ethos there about just kind of catching and releasing music that I think probably took almost too much to heart because I was just like, let's get it all out there, go for it. But ultimately, it serves for even if you put out a mediocre thing, there's something. Sometimes there's a really good song in the middle of a collection that's just okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I look back on some things. I'm like, oh man, that record, I could have like totally changed it. But there's two moments on it that I wouldn't change for the world.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's kind of comes from that DIY catch and release perspective.
Yeah. I like that. I like that idea of catch and release songs. They come to you, come swimming in, you grab it, do it, record it, and then let it go.
Totally. Yeah.
That makes sense for Woody Guthrie too, and that's really cool.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of like, I mean, despite I think my last record was definitely the most technical I'd been, and I want to keep working on
When
being
did you
more
drop that one,
detailed.
by the way?
Last year, February. I've done two. I actually dropped two singles now, just for they're not really connected to a record; they're just for fun. Um, since then, but the
And
last record,
where can we find those? All of
if you go to
the
goodsaintnathaniel.com, you'll find them.
Okay. I'll put that in the comments below, the link to
Yeah.
that.
So it's they're all on there, and they're on in the Bandcamp and all that sort of stuff. Um,
Yeah.
so those are kind of more like catch and release. The last record was more like really getting super deep into the details of who I am and vulnerable,
Yeah.
scary stuff, and kind of fun to like run the other way and have something fun. And actually, one of the demos is a field recording we made walking through a park,
Oh,
and but I liked how the audio was captured, and I'm like, that actually sounds like pretty good,
yeah.
and I like it. It has a good feel, so I put that out there, and
Cool.
kind of going back to that, like, I feel like if I go back to recording on like tape decks and kind of home recording. Now I know a whole lot more than I did the first time around when I was kind of thinking
Yeah.
about that sort of stuff. So
That's how we started off too. Is
yeah,
Jesse bought a tape deck, and we just I think it was like 2 channels or something
Yeah.
right onto tape.
First couple times were definitely tape. I wasn't really setting up mics or anything. I was just kind of playing songs, but
Yeah.
it, it worked. Kind of got to
Yeah.
start.
Yeah. It's the spark that you need. I mean,
Totally.
that's why I say that, you know, done is better than perfect, because
Totally.
it is a process. But if you stifle yourself by trying to be perfect all the time, you're never going to get anything done.
Totally.
And then what's the point? You'll be really good at it and nobody will know. And I mean, if that's your thing, that's cool too. But
Yeah.
to each his own. But
I
I
mean,
think that getting it out there is the point.
I'd much rather. I mean, to me, it comes back to the shows and the connection. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's the whole point. I mean, if I don't think it's the whole point of my creativity is not to get the audience to react positively to something I do, but it's definitely a really key component of what motivates me is wanting to encourage or feel like my creative process is contributing to somebody's improvement. So
Absolutely. Well, Nate,
sorry.
I'll let you go, man. I know
Well,
you're
man,
a busy man and you got a lot of work to do.
good talking to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time, my friend. It's been really
Totally.
good to catch up with you. And thank
Good
you.
talking to you, man.
Good
Yeah.
to talk to you, buddy. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye.